So I want to talk to you about the what I'm doing now. So what I'm doing right now is I'm tracking. I came up with a final arrangement first off, which I kind of moved the arrangement around a little bit. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Kind of gave it a third verse, third chorus, right after the breakdown, and then into that beautiful outro. That was the inspiration outro from the picture. We're all on top of that. And now I have this final arrangement. The song is now 6 minutes and 45 seconds long, and I'm super stoked. Bass guitar is done on it by Reese Ortenberg from New York. He was the guy that toured with me not too long ago on the last tour I did with Tony McAlpine and Sons of Apollo, North American tour. Great guy, super skilled individual, and go check him out if you have a chance to. You can find him on Instagram and whatnot. Reese Ortenberg, R-E-E-S-E. So the arrangement's done, bass is done, and now what I'm doing is tracking the right rhythm guitar track, because everything you've heard before is a single guitar track. I'm panning it hard left in the mix. And as we guitar players do, most bands do it, you do two performances of the exact same part. Sometimes you maybe throw a harmony note in there or something if you want it. So you pan them hard left and hard right, and it gives it a huge stereo image. It's beautiful. So what I've done was, I went ahead and panned, I was using the Metaltronics amp right there on the bottom. And I showed you the settings in like Studio Update 1 or 2. You can go back and check that out if you need to. And it's cool because I thought, okay, I'm gonna use my Dirty Boy amp, this beautiful amp right there, and we'll pan over to it here in a minute. I dialed in a tone. I was really happy with the tone by itself, and I realized that once I started recording with it, hearing the two tones together, it just wasn't quite jiving. It was a great tone on its own, and I thought, fuck, that's awesome. As soon as I put the Metaltronics amp hard left, put the Dirty Boy hard right, it just kind of, they didn't amalgamate together to a nice marriage, that I like, that lend itself well in my ear. So I decided, well, okay, fuck it. What I'll do is I'll fire up the 5150, because those are usually kind of bulletproof. You can't go wrong with a 5150 sometimes. So I went ahead and dialed that up. It's a 50-watt head. I left my Soldano cab ISO'd in the closet with the 3 exact mics that you can check out in like Studio Update 2 or 3. And 2 condensers and a ribbon mic are on it. And I dialed in a tone that accompanied the song, or the tone of the Metaltronics and left. So we'll get into this amp more so maybe another time, but this is the setting that I had for it, which it sounds great just like that. You're kind of cold biasing the amp. You are, the actual Variac I had on 64%. Right now it's dialed down to 0, but those other settings are exactly the way it was. So it just didn't work quite perfectly well with the Metaltronics. Right now, this is exactly how it's set for the entire left channel of the amp. So the treble is dimed, the mid is not so dimed, and this mid shift button is like you can choose a lighter mid frequency or a darker, heavier mid frequency. Lower mids are up there, it's set in the middle. Bass is almost dimed. Main master is cranked because I want the power amp to work really fucking hard. Density is power amp low end, that's dimed. Presence, is pretty high, but when I had Bruce Egnater mod this amp, I told him I don't want the presence to ever get shrill and too high-endy, so close to dimed is actually a nice spot. So now we can move over to this amp, the 5150. Actually, the cool thing about this amp, by the way, a lot of people will look at this amp and go, what the fuck? What kind of 5150 is that, It is the first edition, but it's out of a combo amp. It's a 50-watt combo, and I had a friend of mine build the box, and I covered it with this beautiful brown, cool, kind of weaved leather. And it was a combo amp, so here are the settings that I dialed in to accompany the Metaltronics settings. So I'm actually using the clean channel, and it gets really clean, but I have it dimed, the preamp, and then I have the bright and the crunch engaged on the clean channel. Mids, 4.9 about, 8 on the high end, 3 and a quarter on the treble. Reverb's off, who cares about reverb? And then it's pretty low volume because I'm in an apartment. And the resonance is a power amp girth kind of, and that's about 6. And then you got your presence, and it sounds great together. And again, it's a 50 watter from a combo amp. Sounds awesome. And again, on the arrangement of the song, I'm really happy that I was able to, you know, have a third chorus, a third verse and a third chorus put in. And then that 16th note sugar lick into these sections, the Gojira Jelly Jam and string skipping, Gojira Jelly Jam too. The reason I name these things is because that's what it reminds me of. It's like, it sounds like Gojira a little bit, you know, so I'm just gonna call it the Gojira Jelly Jam. And then it goes into Anna Maria's riffage, the whole outro that is the inspiration from that photo. And then, you know, it has that outro with the kind of diminished thing, and I'm super happy with the way it turned out, man. It's just super cool, man. Can't be more happy. So next up though is what I'm going to do on the next stuff is I'm going to finish doing the rhythms on the rhythm right, and then I'm going to add either some leads now in spots or ambient sounds in spots, one or the other, but I'll do both. And right now, Arnoud Verrier, my drummer in France, is going over this track, and he's going over the track and kind of trying to decide if he would change the drums much. And if he is going to, he's going to get me a version back, and I'll let you all hear it. If he ends up doing a part of the drums, or maybe just changes a few parts, or maybe he changes the whole thing, I don't know. I have an open ear and I'm open-minded to it, even though I'm like emotionally invested in these drums. Arno has this, he has the MIDI, and I'm interested to see what he gets back to me. So he's gonna do his spin on the drums, and if I like it, I'll use it, you know, or maybe I'll just use parts of it. I don't know. Because like I said before, I'm kind of emotionally invested in this drum track because I did write the drums and I like the way they sound. They're aggressive, and they're a little bit predictable in some ways because sometimes, you know, you just want to give the song what you feel like you're going to want to hear anyway. And it's kind of like people are going to be like on the China and be like, yeah, okay, I feel this shit. So that's a good thing sometimes. Sometimes it's great to be completely unpredictable and blow people's minds a little bit. And you're like, whoa, where's this song going? And why is this happening? And how come all of a sudden I was on the downbeat and now it's the downbeat is on the back of my head? What's happening there? You know, it's fun to play with that a little bit, the rhythms and the syncopations and stuff. But I'm interested to see how Arno digests it and how he feels about what it should sound like. So interested to that. Also, once that's done, I'll get the track over to 4D Sounds, which is Ackle Caney from Tesseract. He's going to mix and master it just like he did my first album. And this baby is going to be released as a single for all of you. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you look forward to it too. And I'll see you on the next update, which should be 11, I think, because this is 10. Take quality care.